We're joined live tonight by Dianne Martin, CEO of the Registered Practical Nurses Association of Ontario. Dianne, thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Nurses in Ontario have been sounding the alarm for years now. Does any of this surprise you?
Actually, I was quite surprised. We carry out this interview every year, and we expected the results we got in the previous years, but to be really honest, we thought we'd be seeing improvement. And in fact, what we're seeing is a further eroding of what the nurses are seeing and what they are feeling.
So you think it's getting worse, their sentiments. This also found that more than 60% of nurses said they are considering leaving the profession. If that happens, if a number of these nurses leave, and a lot of them have already left the industry, what impact would that have on an already struggling healthcare system?
You know, practical nurses in Ontario care for really our most vulnerable, are people who are in long-term care, are people who are healing in hospitals, the people who are moving along a trajectory of care. And what nurses are telling us is that they have seen care and health worse in people simply because of the shortages. And there's a limit to how much moral distress a nurse can feel having witnessed those sorts of things and feeling like they've been a part of it unwittingly.
Right. At the beginning of the pandemic, we all remember cheering on our healthcare workers, applauding our doctors and nurses. And all these years later, these healthcare workers are burnt out. They're beyond burnt out at this point. What is it like to be a nurse in Ontario right now?
I think the thing that concerns me the most I think the thing that concerns me the most, I think my internet is a little unstable, is that nurses are describing a lack of pride in their work and in being part. In fact, some of them describe being embarrassed to be part of a profession that is doing so poorly. So my biggest concern is that all the work that we've done to build this profession up into something very impressive and desired is going to be lost, and we will be not having people from our own province working to join this profession.
Yeah, and as we know, Ontario can't really afford to see all of these nurses walk away. Just recently, Ontario hospital nurses, they were awarded average raises of 11% over 2 years. You know this. Do you think that is going to help? Will that help retain nurses?
I think it'll absolutely help. It had to happen. It had to be the first step. I think the important thing to recognize, though, is that we have learned that the space of 2 or 3 years of disrespecting nurses, not allowing them to negotiate their own pay, those sorts of environments, working them in ways where they're doing twice as much work as they would usually do, what we find is that this is going to be incredibly hard to recover from. Yeah, absolutely, the wages are the first step, but what we're hearing from nurses is there's other things they'd like to do where they're not at risk of experiencing this.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Dianne Martin, CEO of the Registered Practical Nurses Association of Ontario. So good to get your perspective on this. Thank you.